Suprabhatam, good morning to all my friends in the US and good evening to people in India and good day to people everywhere else in the world. Welcome to one more edition of the OVBI Hangout series. Today we will be talking to Deepika and Kothari ji. They are makers of the movie documentary History of Yoga. So before we talk to them, I just want to give a quick introduction of OVBI itself. OVBI is a non-profit organization based in the US. Um, I'll just share my screen. I have a presentation to share. So OVBI stands for Overseas Volunteers for a Better India. OVBI is made up of NRIs, professionals, students, housewives, people of all ages who live outside of India and who are very interested and invested in seeing a better India. We want to work together to build the India of our dreams. That is our mission. And we do a lot of volunteer work to help India become a better country. In the past, we have worked for increasing voter turnout during the general elections in 2014. We have also supported our sister organization called uh, Volunteers for a Better India (VBI), who are based in India in many different social projects across the country. We support the Sri School of Governance, which is a college that is teaching governance to students, and we are also doing series like this Hangout series, where we get eminent personalities to come and share information about India. You can see the past Hangout videos that we have had, as well as past information that we have collected on this website to our india.org. In addition to that, one of the major projects that we have been involved in this year is called Project Udan. This project is working together to help children of sex workers in India. This project is currently very active in Kolkata. A lot of children have been helped. They are being helped in their education, in their lives. And I believe Project Udan has also acquired land, built a school for children of sex workers in Kolkata. For International Yoga Day on June 21st, the first International Yoga Day this year, OBBI is working to organize or coordinate uh, yogathon events in hundreds of cities across the world. In the US itself, we want to have this, we are planning to have these events in 100 cities with hundreds of partners and thousands of participants. And the way in which these events work, it's not OVBI alone that is organizing these events. OVBI is bringing together organizations and individuals in each of these cities to come together and have one big mega yogathon event. So this is a way for people to come together and do something nice, something good for themselves as well as for the society at large. If you want more information about what OVBI is doing for the International Yoga Day, check out intyogaday.com, intyogaday.com website. So this Hangout series that we are having now is part of this same initiative for International Yoga Day. And we have had many different uh, we have had two hangouts already. One of them was with Swami Prasannatmananda 2 weeks back, who is the ordained monk from the Ramakrishna Mutt. And last Sunday we had one hangout on food yoga with a representative from ISKCON who is doing a lot of work in distributing food to all the needy. And today we have with us Deepika ji and Ramji, who are makers of the documentary History of Yoga. So before we talk to them, I request Pawan to introduce our guest.
It's a pleasure to welcome Deepika Kothari ji and Ramji Om, who are director and producer of this wonderful documentary, History of Yoga. So before I jump into questions and answers, I would like Jitesh to introduce the speakers to everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely, it is a pleasure welcoming you guys. Uh, Deepika Kothari ji is the producer and director of the film, as Pavan and Arvind mentioned, but she's also PhD in physics. She has to her credit several scientific papers published in international and national journals. She also writes popular science articles for newspapers and magazines. Presently, she is involved in making research-based films on Indian thought with modern understanding. Ramji Om is a writer, cinematographer, and co-director of the film, and is also an ardent practitioner of yoga. And because the theme of yoga is so popular worldwide, and we're going to celebrate the International Yoga Day on June 21st, so apt. He has done a detailed study of Indian philosophy and history, and he is also presently working as a senior civil servant with the Indian Railways. We welcome you guys. Pawan, I hand over to you to begin with the first set of questions, just so that our viewers get the juice of the whole event.
Okay. Thank you, Jitesh.
Welcome.
Welcome, Deepika ji and Ramji. So, I've watched your documentary multiple times. In fact, I have my own personal copy here. So, every time I watch this documentary, I learn something new. So, can you please describe to our viewers what this documentary film is about and what inspired you to make this film?
First of all, thank you all for making us come to this forum. And OPVI is doing commendable work. And today we are part of it. And thank you so much, all of you. Uh, this documentary film, History of Yoga, was inspired many years back. Just to tell you my background, my grandfather, Dr. D.S. Kothari, he was a physicist, and he was also into studying Indian scriptures with the understanding of modern physics. And he had organized in 1975 a conference on yoga, science and man in New Delhi, and in which a lot of yogis, medical practitioners and scientists were invited. That was a unique event, first in India. And then way back in 1970, my father, a medical practitioner, Dr. Lalit Kothari, he had performed a unique experiment on samadhi of a yogi at the R&T Medical College, Udaipur. And there was this yogi, he went inside a pit under the ground for 7 days, and probes were attached, and a lot of scientific readings were documented. And then it was published in American Heart Journal, and it created a lot of excitement in international press. So here it was a traditional yoga practitioner and scientific experiments going together. I was a very small child at that time, but these two incidences had a great impression on me. And in later years, when I was studying all these scriptures and all, I was really wanting to do more in this field. And then came Ramji, and he is an ardent practitioner of yoga, as you've already introduced him. So he will tell you what inspired him to make this documentary.
Actually, what inspired me to, I will tell you first what inspired me to uh, go through the history part of yoga. So, you know, I was practicing yoga right from my childhood. But during my initial studies, the kind of yoga which we used to study was more of a meditative or, you know, achar or daily conduct type of things were more emphasized. I will tell you one example. Initially, I used to study like these texts, where even on the violence, kind of violence, this is a ahimsa. So, opposite ahimsa, there is a hinsa. So there are 243 type of hinsa is mentioned here. 243 type. So these kind of detailed studies are found in Indian traditions. But when I grew old, I came contact into various international yoga centers, where the emphasis was more on exercise part or physical aspect. So then I thought, what is the real yoga? Well, is the real yoga the traditional or more of spiritual or conduct-based yoga, or this exercise part of yoga is more authentic? So it is also said in Indian traditions that there are four yugas, and the start of the time there is a Sat Yuga, and there the things were in pure form. So this belief actually takes us to the most ancient aspects of history, where we believe the yoga was more authentic. So this was the reason I was attracted towards the history, and then I was writing the pages and pages of history of yoga in search of the authentic yoga. So when we wanted to spread it as much as possible, so we thought that visual medium is the best medium, and by making a documentary on it, we can reach to the many people of India who are not able to read and write. So that was the basic inspiration.
Very interesting. So I was looking more into the film, and it took 6 years of research. And you filmed from like about more than 100 locations, and both of you and your team traveled more than 35,000 kilometers across India, Nepal, US, and Europe. So, can you please describe to our viewers what are the unique features of this film?
It took us 6 years, but the research started much more earlier. And when we started filming this, we traveled across India to 137 locations and about 84 archaeological sites, which are under the Archaeological Survey of India and state archaeology. And there were about 35 museums, libraries, and then temples, many temples and shrines, and all these places we visited to look for evidence of yoga because we needed visuals for this. And then in this making of this film, we consulted 30 eminent scholars from various fields. And they were the ones who really gave us so much insight into many aspects. They were from the field of art historians, medical practitioners, Sanskrit scholars, and studies of philosophy they've done. And of course, there were sadhaks from different doctrines. Uh, then there were Buddhist scholars, Jain scholars, and not many, of course, not many of them. So they really helped us. And apart from that, when we made this, started working on the script, Ramji wrote about 1,500 pages. It was a
Wow.
long script because history of India is so huge, and spiritual history of India is I can say history of India. So it is so huge. So of course that was
And
a great
everywhere there
research.
is yoga. Everywhere there
And
is
yeah, all throughout the spiritual study, spiritual history of India, yoga is intertwined in all the doctrines. So we had to research that. Then we invited some scholars to review our script of say 100 pages. And then after the film was made, the first draft, many scholars watched it, film critics watched it. So we wanted to make a very authenticated document. So I can say that after that we had 32 shows, and we never had any question pointing out that here we went wrong. I mean, by the grace of our ancestors, everything has been put right. This is what I feel as of now. So this is the mammoth process.
Yeah, and I should say that it is the most authentic documentary on history of yoga I've ever seen. And it's very unique. So, before we jump into more questions, can you please show our viewers a clip from your film so that they can get a flavor of what the movie is about?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share that YouTube video now on the screen.
Okay,
And if
thank you.
our viewers are not having trouble watching it or hearing the audio, I have also posted the link on the Google Hangout event, and they can watch it after this Hangout is. But we'll still go ahead and show it now.
Okay, thank you. That was wonderful. Parts of the videos were not may not be very clear to some of our viewers, so we encourage you to watch the video later on. So I was interested to know more about. You got support from Archaeological Survey of India, Indian Railways, many other organizations. So can you please tell us more about that?
Uh, yeah, railways, of course, Ramji will tell because he's in
Yeah,
railways.
everywhere because railways is spread out throughout the country. So wherever we went, we could find the guest houses, the infrastructure like transportation and manpower also sometimes. It was a great help. And most of the journeys we performed to railways only. That way we got the support. Since I am in that organization, so it was not very.
And Archaeological Survey of India, we can say we are very fortunate because when we started the project, we went to Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. That time, the Director General was an archaeologist himself. He was Dr. Gautam Sengupta, and probably in the long history of Archaeological Survey of India, there's been always an IS officer or some PS, but here it was an archaeologist himself. So he understood the project and depth of it, importance of it, and he agreed to support us, and he gave us the permission to film the archaeological site, monuments, and then later on all the museums. So we traveled of more than a year, many sites. Uh, it was a free permission. Most of the sites, so, and the ground staff also helped us great. So I can say that very important to the first this that this itself is called understands always in the even the benefit of it. This is what this
Okay. I think I missed the last two or three sentences. Um,
Yeah, even I couldn't hear it properly. There seemed to be a break in the audio. Deepika ji, would you please repeat what you said first few sentences?
okay. The important thing is that we were very lucky that Dr. Sengupta was at the help of the institution. He was the Director General, and he understood the importance of this project and gave us those permissions. And I can say that it is very crucial and important that such organizations which have academic and research orientation should have an expert as their head so that they can understand instead of having an IS officer or a person of different field because India needs to really bring out much more of its knowledge to the world. So we must have these people, experts at the helm of the research and education.
Okay, thanks. So I just got a message from one of our viewers. Apparently, when we were showing the video, the focus was not on the shared video screen, so they were not able to see that. Shall we quickly show them the video once again?
Yeah.
Yes, let's try. So I hope it was better this time. So you had interviewed some 18 different scholars from wide spectrum of expertise, and they contributed to the film. So can you please describe us how was that experience?
Before I go on to that, I think let
Yeah.
Ramji talk about
There are,
Ken in India.
actually, we will
Okay. Yeah, these scholars were spread across India. So we went to their residence because they were in advanced stage, and these people had spent all their life researching and writing and studying and all this. So when we went there, we asked for 20 minutes. They gave us 4 hours, 2 hours, and often they were exhausted. The experience was such that many times we went to places where the electricity went off. So we had to, take our recording and then get back, and we would have lunch in between, and then get back. And sometimes we had to record with candlelights. So that was also a situation.
and in post production, matching different kind of lights was very difficult. That was also a challenge.
And sorry, the video is all right.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. So,
So-
we went. The scholars were, like, I can tell you a few. S.R. Rao. He was the Deputy Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, and he was the pioneer in ocean archaeology in India. He started that, and
He started from Dwarka.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started with Dwarka, and before that, the figure of concept of, yeah, you can say the character of Krishna was considered as mythology. But after his research, people accepted Krishna as a historical figure. Mahabharata also, the belief of historians or the interest of historians was changed.
And then he also excavated Lothal and all. And then there is other professor who is speaking. He's a professor of ophthalmology, but at the same time he's done for many years tantric sadhana. So that also becomes a very important thing, that here is a doctor who is experiencing something very, very deep meditative aspect. So when he speaks, things are very different, of course, and wide variety of people across India.
So it was an enlightening experience for us also.
And that was the generation, very serious scholars. I can say they are Desi scholars. They have the best of knowledge, and because they see
Yeah,
things
more
from
diverse.
Indian perspective. So it is very important that the world take take them seriously, although their language may not be English, but they are very, very serious and deep researched scholars. So they must get a voice also.
So that brings me to the question and the confusion of what exactly is yoga? Because the way it is defined and understood today, like in the Western world, they are more interested in physical and therapeutic aspects of yoga. And after talking to so many scholars and doing extensive research, what do you have to say about yoga?
Actually, in brief, we can say that it has more to do with our mind, our man. So everyone knows that Patanjali has defined it as the cessation of the mind or the cessation of the chitta consciousness. But uh, in common language, we can say that one who is established in yoga is not shaken by the heaviest sorrow, heaviest turmoil. Is not shaken by it. So this kind of state of mind, a yogi can aim. And of course, one starts with the physical exercise part, and then more ritualistic part, symbolical part, but ultimately one reaches to the state where we can master our mind, which is uncontrolled mind, which is the main challenge of basic age. So health is one challenge. Health is one aspect where the therapeutical yoga is aspect of yoga is taking care of. But more than that, the mind, uncontrolled mind, is also a bigger challenge. And the ultimate yoga, or the you can say the real yoga, it deals with the mind only. That can be said.
So, Jitesh, would you like to ask some more questions to our guests?
Sure. So, according to my curiosity, and because you've told so much about yoga and everything, are there any living yogis in Himalayas? Did you meet them? How did it go?
Uh, yeah, it is an interesting question because when we made this film, people asked, you must have met some yogis, Himalayas and all that. Yeah, I guess there must be. We didn't meet about them, but it's difficult to know because you have to be a partner to know. Uh, and must be there local people
Because your voice is breaking up. Could you repeat the last part of it?
Okay. Uh, One has to really be at their lotus feet, surrender to them, be with them, serve them, and then they will tell you the real, their own real personality. Then we will know whether they are yogis or those actors. So, of course, it must be. India was never big. We always had somewhere.
Yeah, nice. Also, in the film, you have shown the evidences of yoga in the Indus Saraswati Valley civilization. Could you tell us more about that?
I was just talking about the aspect of our daily conduct, physical asana, and the meditative aspect. So in Indus Valley civilization, when we came into contact of various scholars, they told us that there are no evidences of violence.
Oh.
There are no evidence. 2000 years. That there are no war, no violence has been for us. And then there is deal of Kasan also. And there are terracotta buildings about asanas. So all these can fairly conclude that Yam aspect, to some extent, Yam aspect of yoga was there in the life of, and of course the part is.
Ramji, sorry to interrupt. We are having a hard time actually hearing you guys. Do you want to try the other microphone that you told me you have? Deepika ji, earlier you were trying the other microphone, right?
That will be a real thing. You know,
Okay, if you can just speak
No,
a
that's
little
okay.
louder, that's
Maybe you
all
can
right.
come a little bit closer and then try again.
okay, can you hear me? Am I better now? Can
Yes,
you hear
much better.
me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, is it better? So, what Ramji was saying was that in India's Saraswati Valley civilization, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
very good.
this is
Okay,
better. Yeah.
okay, I'm pretty close now. So, in the Indus Valley civilization, what we see is that there is no violence for 2,000 years. I mean, the society was such that no offensive or defensive implements were found, as the scholars tell us.
No injury marks on the boots.
Yeah, and no injury marks on the skeletons that are found. So they say, and there is no rage kind of thing of broken buildings and things like that. I mean, in the sense that somebody came and raided that place and all that.
Earlier, what scholar Wheeler propagated the theory that Indus Valley or Saraswati civilization was destroyed by the Aryans. The Aryan invasion theory. He said that these bodies, there was of course recovered few bodies. He said that these bodies were the persons who were killed during that war, the Indra destroyed these. But later on it was found that these were the bodies were, that's what due to flooding was established by scientific examinations. And that's where it flooding.
And another aspect is that when you visit these sites, you see a beautiful way of drainage system. They have wells, and it's a very systematic way of making houses. And so we can say that the whole valley civilization was very systematic, very highly evolved, and the scholars even say that they taught the world how to make modern cities, because everything is so modern there in terms of the civilization of the thing. So you can see that there are two aspects. One is yam and one is niyam. So niyam is shouch. Shouch means you wearing clothes that people to wear them bath together. And even in today's India, we see that very many ponds that we have, people go and bathe in holy ponds and sarovars and all that. So that practice is continuing. And so no violence, living in very hygienic environments. These are the two aspects that finding the seal, scholars say, is a very highly evolved yogic practice. And then there are all this suggests that that civilization must be practicing yoga.
And I want to add one more thing that the famous philosopher, he only has concluded that the society was more of a matriarchal, and matriarchal society is connected somewhere with the philosophy of Sankhya. Now, the philosophy of Sankhya is the philosophy of yoga. In fact, many times it is mentioned that both are same, and Sankhya are same. So that way, we can, I can conclude like this that yoga's first step, yam, First yam is ahimsa, lifestyle of second stage is niyam, and shauch is one of the most important niyam in between civilization and of course the asan part is very much evident by this Bhadrasan, which is a difficult asan. And in Bhadrasan, in medieval period description of Bhadrasan, it mentioned that they used to be a Guruvandha and some kind of mudra. So by this, all these things, Professor S.R. Rao has mentioned in the film also, he has mentioned that in this civilization, Yoga had already much more advanced stage. So this was a foundation. You can say many things in our Indian civilization, we see many life traditions. You can basically, that is the base of our civilization.
Thank you, Ramji. And I would request if you can speak louder and maybe come slightly closer to the microphone. That will be helpful. Thank you. So what you say is very important because yoga is one of the unbroken threads in and continuous running threads in Indian civilization. And we talk about Indus Valley civilization. It's very important to also stress that there was no thing such as Aryan invasion, and we have multiple historical evidences, including history of yoga, which also debunks this myth of Aryan invasion. So, can you please tell us a little bit more about the Vedic connection with yoga?
In Vedas, people say that there is no yoga in Vedas, but actually, if you see the word yunj, it comes in Veda right at the beginning, and yoga evolved over the ages. What people say is the way it is written in Patanjali will be exactly like that in Vedas. It's not like that. It evolved over the ages, and there are references of Keshan Muni, Bhadrasana Muni, who used to practice pranayama and all, and they bring it in Upanishads. As, yeah.
No, as per Patanjali's definition, he describes Kriya Yoga. Tap Swadhyaya is the Kriya Yoga. Tap, of course, we can see in the Vedic. Very much great importance to Tap. In fact, it is said that Prajapati created the world with Tap only. So, and Tap has the same meaning which Patanjali mentions. And this, as is mentioned about Vadrasna, there is a mention of Kapil Muni also in Rigveda itself. And later Vedic period gives much more aspects, documents, more aspects of yoga. Like in Atharva Veda, you can say that the Swarup of or the mentions of various chakras are there. And you can find the traces of Kundalini also. But the I can say the vocabulary that is being used in Vedic literature is different. Like this Pila, Pingla, Sushumna, words came later on. You don't find in Vedic. And Asan in Hath-Yogic terminology is not found in but meditation is mentioned. In fact, the most popular mantra of Rigveda, of the Vedic literature, is Gayatri mantra, and very meaning indicates about the meditation. And when we see the ritual explanation of Gayatri mantra, we see that within the Gayatri mantra, the sadhak should not take breath, retain breath, hold breath. that indicates about the pranayam, some kind of pranayam. And before that, it is mentioned that we should take a posture. The body is straight. There is a mention of that about the asana also. So it is wrong to say that in Vedas there is no yoga. Of course, there is no catalog of asanas and a catalog of pranayams. Deepika or Girendra Sainta. It's not like that. Vedas are not dealing with the yoga as a subject. It is there. You can find it.
Thank you, Ramji. I'm so glad that you mentioned Patanjali when you were talking about him. I know that he is the first propounder of yoga. Can you tell us more about the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras? And yeah, could you
Yes,
just enlighten us about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali?
It was very difficult for us to find historical evidence of sage Patanjali because not much is found about the ancient sages. Not much is found where they were when they came on earth, and
they don't write for us.
they don't write for themselves. We don't write history about people as such. That's not important for us. Ideas are more important. So it was very difficult, but there are two incidences where we find the word of mentioning of Patanjali. One is in the Panini's
Please speak, writing the commentary. So there he may gives one example that the Adhyamika is surrounded by the Greeks. There,
Madhyamika is surrounded by the Greeks, and Madhyamika is the name of Chittor, ancient Chittor.
he invaded the code in some time. And another example is that he mentions that I am doing yajna for Vishuddhi soon. So we can he was the Rohit of these are the incidences, and there are mentions of Patanjali in South Indian some literature, but that is considered of later period.
The interesting thing is that yoga was already there before Patanjali, and he compiled all that yogic knowledge in very systematic, logical form in Yoga Sutras, and that is a commendable work that he did, and that is the only document which describes the Chitta in a very beautiful, systematic way. No other literature in the world does this kind of deep study of consciousness or whatever word you could use it. Then later on, of course, find commentary of Vyas, by which we can understand the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Otherwise, they are very small. It fits in one page, and sutras. So, to understand, but later commentaries, of course, help us to understand those very deep psychological aspects of documented there. This wonderful yoga sutras.
Thank you. Also, when do you think that, like, when do you think the physical asana, the concept of physical asana and the pranayam, the breath work, when did they take the forefront as a yoga practice or become yoga as a whole? Like, was there like a particular time or when the yoga was evolving? When was it then when people started recognizing that?
You can say that during the period of pre-medieval period.
The medieval period, did you say?
Ramji, sorry to interrupt. Ramji, you might want to come closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting messages that people are not able to hear you properly.
So
Let's see, a little more closer. Okay.
it was during the period of pre-medieval period,
Oh, okay.
last 2 centuries of first millennium, where yogic Upanishads were written and lot of tantric religion came into existence, lot of alchemy took place. So physical well-being or physical they used to do a lot of research on how to preserve the body from decay by old age and disease. So during that period, the asanas and pranayams, and it was documented in 13th century when the Deepika was written. So, and during the Nath cult, when the Nath cult flourished under Bhartri and Gorakhnath, there the Hath-Yogic asanas and Hath-Yogic pranayams or Hath-Yogic other kriyas were documented. You can see.
See, this is a very important thing that in the West, people say that this Hatha Yoga was started much later, but we see that Hatha Yogic postures are found in Indus Valley civilization. So they say that this Hatha Yogic practices, which is very popular in the West, these asanas and all that, they said that somebody came to India, to Hyderabad, Nizam, and some Swedish person, and they started working on it, and they created all these asanas and all. But that's not the real story. It was started much earlier than what is understood in the West.
And very interesting aspect of these physical asana, pranayam, and the exercise part is that they also mention in their books, they describe these asanas, various types of difficult asanas, that these asanas are meant for yoga which has been described as Patanjali. That is Raj Yoga, that is meditative yoga, that is more of an yoga pointed towards the chitta, consciousness. They also say that these kind of asanas, pranayam will prepare you for Patanjali's yoga. That is very interesting.
Thank you, Ramji. So for us, when we have to see beyond Hatha Yoga and Pranayama, one of the big references, most common popular references is the Bhagavad Gita, in which we see reference to Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, like that. So can you tell us a little bit about, I know that talking about yoga and Bhagavad Gita can be a really big topic in itself, but in just a few minutes, few moments, can you tell us something about the essence of yoga practice as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita?
The one thing that I can say about this, and then Ranji will take over, is that if you really want to understand yoga and use it as a tool for one's day-to-day problems and troubles and conflicts, then it is very important then we understand the message of Gita. Without that, it will be futile to do just exercises, and you can have a wonderful body, but really if you have a disturbed mind and you don't know how to deal with it, how to control it, how to concentrate on what your aim, really it's not going to help so much. So this is important. So Ramji can give it.
Here is a situation where we find a person very disturbed mind. He has been asked to fight with his own brothers and guru and
in the battle of Mahabharata.
So here we find that yoga is being taught to Arjun. Yoga has been mentioned more than 100 times. I have not counted it, but in Gita it has been mentioned more than 100 times. And in 6th chapter, the very technique is described. And how to control the mind, the disturbed mind, the technique is exactly similar to what is mentioned in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. That is Abhyas Vairagya. Abhyas Vairagya Tannirodha. There is one sutra in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. And here also Abhyasena to Vairagya. So the technique is same, but the situation is very difficult. And this is how the Gita is important. That one may encounter, every day we encounter so many difficult situations. So how yoga can be applied to our mind, how it can be beneficial to person who faces lot of tension, lot of difficult circumstances, how can he stabilize his mind? How can he keep in control? How can he take control of the situation? And he gets inspired. You know, this Gita is an inspirational point of yoga. That is what can be said. There is a problem of somebody will say that it is a traditional granth, sectarian granth. Yeah, there is a color of Vaishnavism on Gita, but there is a Sankhya, which is considered one of the most rational philosophy of the world. Sankhya is the most rational, one of the most rational. Where Sankhya does not need Ishwar or any hypothetical thing. They are very logical. So everywhere you will find Sankhya. Everywhere you will find the Ashtanga Yoga, the Kriya Yoga, and most of all, is the inspirational point. It inspires you. So in yoga, it is said that monotony very often occurs. You don't feel inspired. This is a very difficult technique, and you don't feel.
Repeating the asanas.
Yeah, you will feel bored. This is the inspirational point for yoga. So I consider it one of the most important texts.
Okay.
Another thing I want to add is we are using the word yoga, but here in India we use yoga. Yoga, we are using it for the way people in the West, they made it yoga, but actually it is yoga. So that's important that start using the correct word at least across the world.
Okay. So, um, so that is interesting point. Actually, even I thought that in Sanskrit the word is yoga, and in Hindi you end up saying it as yog. Just like the name Rama itself, in Sanskrit it's Rama, and in Hindi they say Ram. So that's what I always thought. And you are saying that's not the case?
No, yeah. See, when you write, ga is complete. Ga. So yoga, Veda. There is a behind. So that's why to write you have to write a. And since we are not using those matras in English, so that becomes yoga. So that is a wrong thing. But in South India, people really call Rama and Rama. That's a different thing in South India. Yeah. But yoga is the complete word. Ved is the right word.
Okay. So coming back to that connection of Bhagavad Gita and yoga, Bhagavad Gita, as we all know, is one of the most sacred books in Hinduism. So that brings me to the next question. One of my American friends is very good practitioner of yoga. She practices it a lot. And recently, when we were doing yoga, one of our groups, we were doing Surya Namaskar. And in the middle of Surya Namaskar, we were chanting the mantras, Om Surya Namaha, Om Ravaya Namaha, like that. And that brought a doubt in her mind. She asked, is the practice of yoga a religious practice? Is it a Hindu religious practice? Am I doing some Hindu religious rituals, or is it a secular practice? And I tried to explain to her that the core of Hindu dharma and philosophy itself is secular. It's not a religious blind belief. But I'm not sure how convinced she was by my answer. So what would you say to people who question about yoga, if yoga is a religious practice or whether it's a secular practice, and if they have any misgivings in practicing yoga because of that, what would you say to them?
The biggest evidence of this is that the hardcore practitioners of Islam, Sufis, some of the Sufis were very particular about the aspects of Islam. They also incorporated yoga as a technique in their type of prayers, yoga as a technique. They, of course, they removed the deities of the chakras, where they don't believe in figures and all that. But these chakras were very much incorporated in their style of meditation. And some of the Sufi saints meditate in cross-leg sitting. So cross-leg is just a Padmasana or Sukhasana. They also adopted it. The aim of aim of yoga here is to realize oneself. So, the aim of yoga is here to realize self. And recently, Government of India also during this yoga campaign said that we will not use Om and all that. So Om, actually, we need to understand that it has a grammatical aspect also, and it is a Adinar, which is a sort of, you can compare that it is a Big Bang. It is a sound which still resonates, but there will be. And Patanjali also indicates that Purush, the Purush, which is the consciousness which is not entangled into the matter, pure consciousness, the name of that pure consciousness is Tasya Vachka Pranava. Tasya Vachka Pranava. So it is a name. So you may like it or you may not like it. But as you rightly said that Supreme Court of India has also said that this Hinduism is not a religion in terms of the religious definition. That is also a very important thing. And yoga, its philosophy, as I mentioned, Sankhya, it finds its place in medicine, science, metallurgy, and this, this art, art temple, foundation, church. So everywhere this philosophy is there. And it was never considered as a religious philosophy. That's what I can say.
This question is secular, secular or not?
Yoga is a secular. Yoga is a secular. We have shown in film also that it's found in Jainism, Buddhism, in many sects of Sanatan Dharam like Jainism, Vaishnavism, staff, many conflict religions, many conflict. Even in some texts, found across so many texts, and you can say it is a secular, it is a neutral.
Two aspects. One part.
Yeah, I think I understood most of what you are saying. Yoga's practices, they were incorporated in most of the major religions that came out of India, be it Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, or even Sikhism. They were incorporated in all the major Indian religions. And we talk about the word secular, it's a very Western word. India believed in pluralism. Uh, it believed in bringing everyone together, and yoga formed kind of a backbone for that. So that's very interesting. So you also mentioned a lot of living traditions, different, like Sufism is one. Then there are many other living traditions, in Rajasthan and many other places. So how alive they are today in Indian life?
Uh, See, these traditions have never died. They are still alive. Not only these traditions, but very many aspects of life. There's a continuity across over the ages. And these traditions are, of course, there in the villages even today. And some of them, of course, have diluted down. Some you don't find in their original form, when people talk, when people are in difficult situations, they quote the anecdotes, what we call proverbs, and also from text and all that. So that is in their life. Inspires them. It examples and those are the things that really inspires them. So those things are there in the tradition,
but many, of course, many traditions are lost. Like there is one text which mentions about say 200 traditions, but we don't find that those sects, those traditions of sadhus today. So many are lost. But during the research of this documentary, I find most astonishing fact which I noticed and was very pleasing that the continuity is maintained in a big way. Like you find some figurine in some in the Indus Valley civilization, and it has been described in after say 2,500 years after 2005 years of that civilization is in Deepika. That is Sambhavi Mudra. Now Sambhavi Mudra you can see one of the bust of Indus Valley civilization, which is third century, third millennia BC, and its description is found in second millennia AD. This is the continuity which we see. But many like this is the one book which I want to show you. One Mr. George Watson Briggs, he had documented the traditions of Gorakhnath and Kanfada Yogi. When I went through this book, I realized that many of the sects or many of the traditions or many of the arts are already lost. So, some traditions are vanishing.
That's very interesting, and that also gives us inspiration to preserve this wonderful heritage that we have in India. So, since time is running out, I'll ask two short questions. June 21st is International Day of Yoga, and India led from the front to bring this UN resolution, and 175 countries came together to support this. So, what do you think? What role can India play in the world of yoga today, or yoga, as you say? We should call it. So,
Yeah, this is the international, having an International Yoga Day that's beginning this year is a great event for all of us, those who are in India and those who are Indians living outside, because this tradition has been so long, so strong, and has all the potential for a very better world. And if the real essence of yoga goes from India to the world, then I think the whole world, the community will benefit. But if it is lost to certain only certain aspects of it are propagated as they are done in the West, or if people think that by cutting it from its tradition, its spiritual connection, we are going to gain anything, then of course I can say that humanity will lose a great science, a great spiritual tradition, the great moral value and thinking of the ancient real great human beings, because they evolved this technique over hundreds and thousands of years. So this is not a simple thing that has come, and it is for the humanity to own it, and in its true essence, go digest it as Raji Malhotra puts it, because if you digest it, if you cut it, sever it from its tradition, uh, the essence will be lost, and you will just get a very physical thing, and which will not benefit humanity. So it is for all of us, and especially what OBI is doing, it's commendable. that you are bringing scholars from across India and outside to really speak on it. And I think a lot of documentation is needed. So it's our call, and I think we all of us come together.
Thank you, Deepika ji and Ramji. That was wonderful. I have one last question. Our viewers, those who are listening, if they are interested to find more about you, and also if they are interested to buy the documentary History of Yoga, where can they find more about you, and where can they buy the documentary from? And I will put the links in our Hangout later.
Okay. In the US, it is available at www.rajivmalhotra.com store. It is this is of Infinity Foundation, so they can find under books, especially rajivmalhotra.com. And then it is also available in US in Amazon.com. It is Canada also. It is available. They can log on to rajivmalhotra.com and then they can get connected. In UK, it is available at yogaorigins.uk.oh. I think I'll send you the link. In Australia also, it is available on the historyofyoga.com or something. I'll send you the link again. And in India, it is available in Hindi also. Hindi is slightly longer. And so it is vishuddhifilms.com. That is our website. So on our website store, it is available. And I think soon it will be available on Flipkart, Snapdeal, and other things. Amazon.in and some places. But that will take a little time. So in the meantime, you can find it at vishuddhifilms.com, Hindi and Hindi. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much for inviting us. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Ramji and Deepika ji, for a really informative session. And thanks also Jitesh and Pawan for asking such nice questions and helping lead the conversation. Before we close, I just want to show our viewers the website for International Yoga Day, the OBBI website. I'm going to share my screen again. So this is a beautiful website, intyogaday.com, where you can look at all the events that are being organized across the US, and you can join the event. And if you yourself want to organize an event for International Yoga Day, there is a free organizer toolkit available. You can download all the documents, flyers, and other information that you will need to organize an event in your location. And through this website, you can also get in touch with us and let us know that you are organizing this event. And we will put up the event location on this website. So the idea is that people anywhere can check on this website to see which is the event that is happening closest to them, and they can go join that. You can sign up for updates through this website. Some of the cities where we are already having confirmed events, huge events happening in some of these cities. In San Francisco, several organizations are coming together along with the consulate of India, and they are putting together an event where they expect about 10,000 people to come together and do yoga. And you can also see some videos from our past hangouts, as well as the Consul General of India inaugurating the website, INT Yoga Day website, and a few videos of other hangouts will also be posted here. Viewers can also see recordings of all OVBA hangouts on YouTube. You just have to go to youtube.com/overseasBBI. youtube.com/overseasBBI. And if you scroll down further, you will also see some nice informative articles. There is one about yoga and Swachh Bharat, cleanliness, and also there is one about yoga's role in disaster relief. So this is an interesting website. Please keep coming back, intyogaday.com, and you can can see all the information that we have, all the nice information we have. And if you want to get engaged with OBBI itself, you can go to overseasvbi.org, overseasvbi.org, and you can get more information about all the things that OBBI does, and you can become more involved in all our projects and activities. So once again, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining on this session. We want to remind our viewers that there are two other hangouts happening tomorrow. One of them is at 7 p.m. India time, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. It is on the subject of youth, yoga and youth. And at 9 o'clock Pacific time, which will be 9:30 p.m. India time, we have a session on yoga around the world, karma yoga, as well as yoga and seva. And the guest in this session will be N.B. Raghuramji, who is the founder and chairman of Yoga Bharati. So we hope to see you all in our next Hangout session. And we have more exciting Hangouts coming in the future weeks as well. I believe next weekend we have Hangout with many different organizations that are participating in the International Yoga Day. In June, we have Hangouts planned with Shri Rajiv Malhotra ji, and there is another Hangout planned with Dr. David Frawley, who is also known as Vamadeva Shastri. He is a Vedic scholar, and he recently received the Padma Award from the Government of India for his contribution towards Hindu Dharma studies. So many exciting and informative hangouts coming. Please look forward to that. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.